Well, good evening, Eric, my friend. How are you today?
I'm feeling very, very well, and it's great to be back. And my mind has question marks going all over the place because um, probably others have known of the titles of certain books that we will be discussing.
Well,
But
yes, it's very interesting, Eric. I mean, last week I posted a picture of an Amazon receipt, which I'd seen before but never really paid attention to. And I went back to it and I thought, so I see this book, I Am the Son of Sam. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I have never ever heard of another Maury Terry book that has to do with the Son of Sam or David Berkowitz.
no, never.
Unbeknownst to me, though, Eric, Maury had written or tried to write a book in 1990 about Joel Steinberg.
Yes, in fact, he was intimate with Steinberg because I remember on a show I had once done, which was focusing on Hedda Nussbaum, and who was investigated by New York Police Department Detective Sergeant Mike Cordella. He was legally allowed to come into Long Island. There is a famous photo of Maury Terry in a limousine collecting attorney at law Joel Steinberg after his, I believe, his prison sentence was over. And they, there is there are New York Times articles that was speaking of this book. They One of them even knew the title of the book.
So the
That one,
title of the book is called Dark Side of 10th Street, a true story of love gone mad.
that's right.
I never knew about this book, Eric.
No, I knew there was supposed to be a book about Joel Steinberg, but I never knew that of this title. I never knew. I guarantee there are others who've searched and have found it, but I never heard anybody, shall I say, speak about the book or mention the book at all. And
Well, people have gone looking for the book and they've just not been able to find it. And it was apparently to be published by Doubleday, which published The Ultimate Evil, didn't it, Eric? But it was
right,
called Dolphin Doubleday.
yeah. Now, if we go to there are 34 book site, 34 book sites, or 35. People think Amazon Books is the only one, and you don't necessarily get the best buy from Amazon Books. But this book, Dark Side of 10th Street, A True Story of Love Gone Mad, which was reported to have been about Steinberg, on both Amazon Books and Advanced Book Exchange Books, known as Abe Books, they have the ISBN, which means International Standard Book Number, both the 10 digit and the 13 digit. The publisher is Doubleday, 3 years after the first edition by Dolphin Doubleday of The Ultimate Evil. The language is English, hardcover. This specific ISBN edition is currently not available. But there's two ways to look at this. I've gone through this and I eventually helped get a book published that was done by my friend after he had died with two others. A publisher in Illinois kept saying out of stock in his catalog, but you could not have gone on a book site to find it. Here we have two very famous book sites that have it up with its ISBN number and the publisher. So, yet the Library of Congress does not have it listed where every book gets uploaded for one's information. But the librarian told me, no, we don't have it listed here, but it is listed. And he referred me to Amazon Books and I think one other. It's so there is something that happened. It's a mystery. It's not. We're not overstating it. That this book would, with its number and title and publisher, would be found on more than one book site. This is a representing a bookseller and his bookstore. It just does not make sense.
Well, we've got two potential books here, Eric. Both have ISBN numbers issued to major publishing houses.
Here it is.
For some reason, these books were never released.
Yeah, and
as far as we
know. And here we have. It's also on another famous book site, Biblio, whose people are very good in helping you understand how to care for books and everything. It's a beautiful site, Biblio, and Biblio is here in the United States, and it's also in the United Kingdom. And here it is, the title, the ISBN number, the 13-digit Doubleday Books. So I don't know. I really do not know of any publisher putting it out like this, and it's just a mystery, because I think the only person who, well, first we have to find out, when is it that Joel Steinberg got out of jail?
I don't know, but I know that Maury was, well, I've learned in the last few days that Maury was quite friendly with this Joel Steinberg, and he picked him up from jail in a limousine, apparently. And
oh yeah, they're both sitting there.
So Maury seems to have a lot of friends that are, not such good character.
Well, I would say this, that if Maury Terry was able to be that intimate with him, Steinberg had to permit him entrance. He did not have to accept Maury Terry. So there had to be an allowance, a permission. He's got lawyers and so forth and so on. It had to be. Now, remember, of course, people who get deep into conspiracy and so forth will say, hey, but wait a minute. This guy lived a large part of his life in Yonkers after he was, born in, I think, Bronx County, and of course that's going to stimulate people hearing about the Bronx, and so, really the person to interview, if we could be, it's not impossible, would be Joel Steinberg. And say to him, well, listen, has this book, do you know if this book ever came out? Have you got a copy of this book? And I'm wondering, what was Maury Terry's take on the Steinberg story? Was he trying to say that Steinberg is a victim of circumstantial evidence and that he never abused Lisa, the adopted girl? Which also is another mystery, because I don't think it was through a legal adoption business. I seem to remember on the show I did that a physician was the one who handled the adoption. It wasn't through a proper adoption agency. And so it's all very, I'm curious about Maury Terry's relationship with him. And
well, I'm more curious about this I Am the Son of Sam book, Eric.
And you have a good reason to be, because in those documents I released, I believe you found a letter.
I found several pieces of information that all seem to link together, which I will go through. So when I found the Amazon receipt, which, like I say, I'd seen it many times, but never really paid attention to it. And I read it. And then I thought, I need to read further, see if there's any more information in these letters from David to Maury. And lo and behold, as I will show you. So, January 26, 1998. I hope this letter finds you doing well. Enclosed is a page from Amazon.com, a bookseller on the internet. If this is not you, then it must be your twin brother. Please find out more info. You once told me that you wanted to do a book with St. Martin's. Also, and that goes on to talk about Spike Lee. So if you scroll down, there's a picture of said receipt.
Mm-hmm.
I Am the Son of Sam by Maury Terry. Price information not available. You can still order this item and we will request approval of the price via email prior to shipment. Not yet available. You may still order this title. We will ship it to you when it is released by the publisher. Published by St. Martin's Press, trade publication date June 1998, ISBN 0312957998.
Yeah, that's the 10-digit one. And then the 13 has the 9 something. Now, St. Martin's Press is as big a publisher as Doubleday. It is a major publisher. Now, if you scroll back up, when they say not yet available, well, that is when a book site, in this case Amazon Books, will say order it now, and when it then is released publicly, you'll get your copy. So if they say you may still order this title, I don't think that Amazon Books would say you can order it if there wasn't going to be something really available.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and but I mean, it's David Berkowitz who knew of this book also, right?
Oh yes, as you'll see, there's more.
Mm-hmm.
So if you scroll through the letters a little bit more, I am also enclosing the latest from the web page about the I Am book. You figure this mystery out. This is from the Amazon site. It is still being carried. The Barnes & Noble site is also carrying it. The information on the Barnes & Noble site is about the same, with the exception that Barnes & Noble lists the price and also the release date as of April 1999.
So that means officially someone informed Barnes & Noble that that book is going to be released.
And it also shows me, Eric, that David is clueless as to what Maury is up to.
Yeah.
Why is he questioning Maury about a book he knows nothing about? He's asking Maury, what is going on here? Can you let me know?
Yeah, well, that's
volumes for me.
That we see in the history of David Berkowitz. Writing about books, questioning about books.
Well, why wouldn't Maury have told David, yo, I'm planning on writing a book, More will become clear as we go along, Eric.
Oh,
here's another passage.
Yeah, now look, there we have an answer. Oh, wait, that's David writing. Go ahead.
David.
Maury.
Yeah. Maury, you really need to speak to someone at St. Martin's Press about notifying Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble that there was some kind of mistake and that there is no book scheduled to be released titled I Am Son of Sam. These outfits continue to put this on their sites. Amazon.com has even begun to post hostile comments towards you and your previous book. Apparently someone has an axe to grind with you. I would try to take care of this if I were you. So David's still not really getting the answers at this point, is he?
No. Wait, what's that about Inside Edition? Scroll down a bit. Scroll back up to that last paragraph. Meanwhile, my friend would like to get a copy of the Inside Edition program. Thanks. Okay. Wonder who his friend is.
Yeah.
And who's that in there from Louisiana?
Well, this is, I think, the final passage about said book. Speaking of websites, as I discussed with you, I really think the book situation with Amazon.com needs to be dealt with once and for all. So he's getting annoyed here, isn't he?
Yeah.
If St. Martin's is not publishing anything, and if this is indeed some kind of error, then someone from St. Martin's need to fax or notify in some way Amazon.com and also Barnes & Noble. Explain the situation briefly and then ask them to delete this. I am sure they will do this, as having something listed that in reality does not exist only creates more work for them. I have already had some friends place orders for this.
So money so money was accepted for the
Yes.
book. So you see, money was accepted.
My friends who placed an order with Barnes & Noble were first notified that the book would be shipped within a few weeks. Then they received a notice that the book was not yet available. These outfits may as well delete this. And there's only a few more letters after these, and he basically doesn't get any answers.
And who is Kenny, who's on the warpath?
I have no idea, Eric.
He's somebody who published his own book. So so he wants to obviously sync whatever you're doing or have done. Now wait, put this letter up a bit. Right, you see, why does this man want to sync whatever Maury Terry is doing and has done? Now that's curious. Who is this Kenny?
For whatever reasons, Kenny is on the warpath. I am used to this, as I know there is another spirit in him that is driving Kenny to try and destroy me. Besides, he published his own book, and so he wants to obviously sync whatever you're doing or have done. It is purely selfish on his part. Kenny does not realize how helpful you material has been to many over the years. I will leave it up to you to handle this. And yes, you can post messages too. I believe Kenny put up all 3 messages. Who the hell is Kenny?
No, we don't know. And he's a man who supposedly has written a book. And for some reason, he can't be satisfied with just being a subsequent book on the case, it seems. But he wants to be the top person and destroy Maury Terry. What he's doing now, at that moment in 1999, and what he has done, which would be 1987, the ultimate evil.
Max said money wasn't accepted. You're billed when it's shipped.
That's right, Max. No, Max, there's 2 different things. The money is accepted, but they don't bill you. It's there waiting. You've got the money there, but they won't charge the credit card or however you pay until the book is shipped. That's correct, Max. But there is an acceptance. There's an acceptance of your order. And the money is right there. And the moment they say available, boom, it goes into a higher degree of acceptance, meaning we've taken your payment and the book is being shipped.
Well, I mean, Eric, why don't you think Maury would have told David what was going on?
I have no idea. As you know, it seems that David Berkowitz is in the entire blue about this, and it's the truth. Because why would Terry have it in those documents in his Son of Sam file? Why would he have it in the documents?
So, Eric, I went digging a little bit further. And I found this. So this was labeled draft notes. Okay. And to me, what I've read in these 14 pages is what seems to be what was going to be in this book. I Am the Son of Sam.
Go forward.
Okay. So this is all like page inserts. Other researchers stated belonged to the Golden Dawn Society organization that had claimed infamous black magician Aleister Crowley as a member. Both the Golden Dawn and Crowley would later become relevant in the investigation, and then I can't understand Maury's
Go
handwriting.
back up. Go back up. There's an insert there. Go back up. It's a carrot. The V, right? That's a carrot. Other researchers stated that Untermeyer Park had
It looks
belonged to the.
yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, other researchers stated that Untermeyer Park, that doesn't make sense, that Untermeyer had belonged to the Golden Dawn Society organization. There you go. Had. All right.
Yeah, but of course, when you mention Golden Dawn, that is true if you go back to the man who created that beautiful park and gardens, Samuel J. Untermeyer. He was a member of the Golden Dawn that came over to New York.
Insert A, page 83. Does that say no name something?
In fact, no name.
Number.
The number sign. Oh, no need number.
No need.
Yeah.
In fact, on the night of August 1st, only hours after Tommy Zano appeared in the newspapers, Zano had a close brush with death. As he closed up his auto body shop, Zano was shot at by 3 men who drove past the front of the building in the car he couldn't identify. Zano was promptly placed under police protection and housed in a motel across Verrazano Narrows Bridge in Staten Island. And although he is now under an official umbrella, the protection wouldn't last indefinitely. After a few weeks, he'd be on his own again, a potential target once more.
Once more?
Yes. I don't know what that means.
Well, that would mean that he was a potential target before it and shot at before. Now, did you ever know that 3 men tried to murder him?
No.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is not in the book, but this is 1988. Go ahead.
In late 1988, a friend of Carr's who was himself a former member of the Yonkers cult would come forward and state that Carr had been involved in devil worship as far back as the early 1960s when he was in high school. The ex-member also joined the group during this period and remained a participant until 1972.
I want to know who the friend of Carr is, though. No name.
His statement would corroborate the message Berkowitz left in his apartment when he wrote that the cult had been operating for quite some time. The former member, who is now in a religious order in the Midwest, said that meetings were held at several locations in Untermeyer Park, that acts of ritualistic rape occurred during some of them, and that a leader of a group introduced him to drugs and later forced him and other males into male prostitution in New York City. In 1972, the ex-member said he escaped and subsequently joined the religious order he now serves. He said that Carr possessed pictures of cadavers while in high school. He also revealed that Carr told him the Yonkers group had abducted and murdered youngsters from a nearby home for troubled youths. Carr said that authorities had assumed the missing teens were merely runaways. An investigation of former members' allegations began in late 1988. So far, it sounds like everything that he wants to put in this new book is basically from the mid-90s onwards, like things he was coming across.
Yeah, would this religious man possibly be Brother Paul Rainieri?
Yes.
Possibly. You never know. But,
So I suspect Maury was typing the book on the word processor or whatever.
Yeah, and also notice that it says insert A.
Yeah. Yes.
An insertion to page 337. In other words, he's got the manuscript, but he's typed out more that should be put in. Go ahead.
Larry Malenko would be heard from again. In late 1987, police would raid his home and arrest him on drug charges. Interestingly, this North Dakota woodsman would then retain the services of a high-priced Miami law firm to represent him in the case. It is also worth noting that the arresting officers in North Dakota observed that Malenko possessed a collection of occult books as well as hoods and capes, according to Minot Detective Mike.
Okay, wait. Now, Larry Malenko is Barry Dosenko.
Yes.
Barry Dosenko and his wife were arrested for narcotics. And the lawyer from Miami who represented him had been in a university there in Florida for law at the same university in those same years that Steve Trackman was there. That is exactly what an investigator in Minnesota had told me. If you remember, I played our conversation, which he allowed me at that time to record. I said, "May I record you?" And he said, "Yes." So that's quite interesting right there. I just want to add that to this, that the lawyer was in university with Steve Trackman, and Malenko is Dosenko.
Insert A, page 419. No new number. Even more curious, process leader Robert de Grimston himself was residing in a private home in Westchester, a scant few miles from Untermeyer Park. Have you ever heard that Robert de Grimston lived near Untermeyer Park?
No, I never heard that he lived near Untermeyer Park. Never.
In the early and mid 1970s, the coincidences were simply too numerous to be written off. Too many people were in the right places at the right times. The unsolved S&M murder of shipping magnate Edgar Paul Luckenbach will also be described. So he's talking about he's doing a whole new book here.
Yeah, now Luckenbach, that's where that case I knew of by way of Rothstein.
Oh, you've heard of this character?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Rothstein had looked into that. This, but with no, as I told you, he wasn't saying he was Son of Sam, but Luckenbach, yes, definitely. And I think I can't ask Jim anymore. It's impossible, but I think he even, oh, wait a minute now. This is it. Luckenbach was visited by a woman, I believe the name was Jane Ryder. And there was something, that's the name I believe, Jane Ryder. He doesn't write about her in his memoirs. And he soon died after that. And then this same Jane Ryder had visited in Manhattan Father Malachi Martin, and he died soon after. So I tried to find this Jane Ryder, and I only found somebody involved in film who did maybe meet Malachi Martin, but it's very eerie. It could just be that they died after meeting her. But he thought that there was something mysterious about the lady.
A killing that was directly linked into this scene. Also tied in is the ritual murder of Sheldon Shelley Blum.
Yes.
Owner of a disco populated by individuals who play heavy parts in this story, including the pimp named Deuce, who frequented cult meetings at Untermeyer Park, and also by another male who several years later was actually present at two of the Son of Sam crime scenes.
So he gets the information definitely about Shelley Bloom from Rothstein. Definitely.
In addition, this chapter will outline the disappearances and alleged murders of 3 young boys from an Upper East Side apartment occupied by a prominent pedophile. For an illustration of just how tight the circle was, this pedophile was a frequent bed partner of the poet.
The poet?
Whoever that is. As for the child murders in the pedophile's apartment, detectives believe that 3 well-respected males used the apartment and committed these crimes in a sex ritual that went out of control. One of the alleged killers was a Park Avenue heart surgeon, another an oil executive involved in OPEC, and the third was a stringer for a certain U.S. intelligence agency. In fact, this agency squashed search warrants and subpoenas in the case on the grounds of national security.
Don't scroll. Go back. Keep it there for a moment. I know where this comes from. This comes all from Rothstein. OPEC OPEC means the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. The apartment this took place in was of one of his major informants, Ben Rose. Ben Rose was in hospital. He informed Rothstein of this, and the cops didn't handle it right. Of 4 boys, 3, these were heterosexual pederasts. They were boys, not girls, pederasts, not people. And they sexually abused them. It was set up. The boys had been provided. They were abused, tortured, and 3 of them murdered. The 4th one survived. The heart surgeon's name was something like Chernsky or Chonsky. I can't find his first name. The oil executive's name was Len Stewart. The Stewart spelled Len or Lee Stewart, Stewart. And the United States Intelligence Agency, Maury says he was a stranger. No, Rothstein was always open with his information. Maybe he doesn't want to mention it. Tippy Richardson, a Central Intelligence Agency officer. He and his most often partner, the homicide detective, Matty Rosenthal, they brought them in. They were booking them. And then national security was called. And they said, national security for what? And they had to release Richardson. And by releasing him, the other 2 got away.
Hello, Neo.
Hey, what's going on?
Hello.
So this is all he got from Rothstein.
So, when was he active with Rothstein? What year was that, Eric?
When did he meet Rothstein? Well, the first time he met him had nothing to do with the Son of Sam. It was about Marita Lorenz.
No, but I mean in the 90s. What year?
Oh, they were back and forth in touch with each other. We know that in 1996, they did meet in Yonkers with Kevin Murphy in December.
Do you know what year that was, Eric?
1996.
All right, so that ties in. I suspect Maury started writing this book around 1996.
Yeah, 1996 is when they...
that will all make sense in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it was good stuff finding this because, there was 2 parts of Maury's investigation, as I try and say. In the beginning, I think he intended to find all good. I think he always wanted to do good, but he got sucked into this case around the late 90s, as you can see here. He gets in with Berkowitz in the beginning. He needs Berkowitz. And then I think after all the stuff he put out, Berkowitz never went after him, never tried to sue him or anything. This benefited Berkowitz. So in the late 90s, I feel Maury, as you can see here, then didn't need him as much as he did around the beginning of this. So again, I think he had an advance for this book, didn't he? Didn't a publishing company give him some money?
I think, when I look up the New York Times later, but I think it was like $150,000 I had read the other day when we was.
It was like 6 figures or something. So you see here, he had to produce something.
But I don't think it was for this book, though.
It was for another book?
He got was the one about Steinberg. Was it Death on 10th Avenue?
Oh, was it that book?
Yeah. I could always. Now, this is all information he got from Rothstein. The Roy Cohn, he got from Rothstein. This is all from Vice Detective Jim Boots Martin Rothstein. The farm and everything, I didn't know it was turned into a condo complex, but nevertheless.
Maury doing that book, too, he sees that Berkowitz isn't going to bother him because at the end of it, when he is done, Berkowitz is going to benefit from it. So Berkowitz is not going to bother him, and he realizes that. And I think that's why you see he doesn't really need Berkowitz to do what he's doing in the late 90s. And again, I don't think he's so much lying. Okay, everybody out there, remember, when he died in his will, he left all his stuff to Josh. If he thought his work was all a lie, why would he leave it to Josh for people to see? Again, I don't feel Maury so much was lying. He really got sucked into this case and wanted to prove what he thought was right. As we see a lot of times with people, they just think things and that's it. They just want it to be true. So
the article about the books is by Glenn Collins, January 2nd, 1989. And that's where Maury is mentioned in the New York Times. They're talking about the case of Steinberg and Bess Meyerson. And Maury Terry is mentioned. Books that had been published, and his book was about to be published. That was the one on Steinberg. And
I wonder what happened.
I have no idea. Well, here it is. The author often singled out in this connection is Mr. Terry, who said he got a 6-figure advance from Doubleday for The Dark Side of 10th Street. And Terry stated, what I can bring to this is I have Steinberg. I've had access to him since the arrest.
So Maury got a 6-figure advance for the Lisa Steinberg book that was never published.
Yeah, or published and then thrown back into the warehouse. So what he does say, though, you asked before, when did he first meet him? I've had access to him since the arrest. I've visited him at least a dozen times at Rikers Island, and he calls me at home sometimes 4 times a day.
So Maury was very close to Joel Steinberg.
Yeah, I mean, Steinberg heard him on the radio and had his lawyer call for a meeting. So as I said, without the lawyer and Steinberg, Terry could have never gotten close to him. And he says, Joel trusts me and unloads on me, and my book has got to have things that no one else will have. So that is, it's...
Hey, Rena,
yeah?
On this stuff you found, what was he planning on writing in this? Maury Terry had this new book coming out. What was he planning on putting in there?
Everything I'm reading now, it sounds like everything he was putting in this book was all the 90s investigation.
And by the way, he's co-interviewer on Fox Television of an exclusive prison interview with Steinberg. And he states it was not, I'll get you, Joel, if you'll pay me, a new time in media circuses. So,
as you see, as we'll go on, it goes into more detail about what's in this book, Neo.
Well, you don't know what Maury was going to include in it?
Oh, well, as you'll see, Maury wanted to name names in great detail.
But it was the Paul Ranieri stuff that he had come across in the 90s that I think he wanted to include it in this book, correct?
He did, yep.
If the religious person is Ranieri, I believe, we can assume
he's mentioned as we go on.
Yeah.
Police interactions with Roy Cohn regarding this case will also be discussed. Cohn told cops, my job is to clean things up, and I'm cleaning up after this one. A youth who escaped said the other boys were buried in the woods surrounding a Connecticut farm. Roy Cohn owned just such a farm. Let me say it again. Roy Cohn owned just such a farm, which was the former estate of ex-bootlegger Sheenley liquor baron Louis Rosenthal. The youth's description of the property perfectly matched that of Cohn's farm, a fact that police didn't discover until years later, long after the property had been sold and turned into a condo complex.
Well, the cops, could be a plurality for Rothstein, who told Maury Terry all this, as Rothstein had told me. He had the Army engineers, and they were going to go dig up on the farm, and then he discovered that was not actually the farm where the boys were buried, but there was another place, and it was called off.
David Berkowitz also attended at least one large sex party at Cohn's house in the company of several members of the Sam cult. It was here and at other parties like this one that Berkowitz saw firsthand some of those whom his cult leaders and process were involved with on levels far above his. He has named names.
Yeah, now that's not Rothstein giving him that information. That's Berkowitz.
That's what he says.
what he
Obviously,
says.
this information wasn't passed by Berkowitz, right?
Yeah, because he don't know nothing about this so far.
Right.
But
No, wait, he does. Well, we're assuming.
well, no,
Assume-
things will become more clearer later on.
Okay.
Let me just say that. The participation of a handful of named organized crime members in this overall environment will also be documented. These people, who controlled a number of sex and gay bar businesses in Manhattan and distributed child porn, later assumed peripheral roles in the Son of Sam case. Specifically, one Son of Sam shooting was done as a favor to these interests. I mean, it's.
Wait, can you scroll it down a bit? I just want to concentrate on those words a bit, Rena. You see, it is true about the organized crime and the sex and the homosexual bar businesses in Manhattan and the distribution of child pornography. That is true. The Matty the Horse Yanello, a big shot, he underneath, like viaducts, conduits, his places were conduits mostly for pederastry of boys. And so that is true. Now, how it's peripheral to the Son of Sam case, that I do not know.
Well, I personally, I think it's an insult to victims.
Well, is it an insult to victims?
Specifically, one Son of Sam shooting was done as a favor to these interests. I just find it so insulting.
But how do we know?
Right. Can you say?
How do you know it wasn't a favor? Let's say
this isn't what he thought. I mean,
yeah. Let's say I agree with you and Neo.
It's all speculation.
But wait.
Right. But
if I agree with you and Neo that David Berkowitz was alone, or if somebody agrees with me that there was a collectivity, why is it far-fetched that maybe one of the shootings was in favor of these interests?
Because there's no proof of that. It's all speculation, Eric. And I think it's an insult to the victims that they're being tied to all this.
I see what you're saying.
I don't see it that way, but I'm not going to mention a woman's name, but one who survived. And maybe
because we know now that this isn't true. But years ago, if you read this.
Do you think it was irresponsible journalism on Maury's part?
No, I don't. He's getting information.
It depends if he was doing this purposely with a lie intention, which I cannot prove. Again, his work, discredits him, but you got to remember, is this what he thought? And I think there's a lot of indications.
Pseudonyms,
there's a lot of indications to show you that he thought this.
But why didn't he use fake names for John and Michael and all the others? Why did he use their real names? He had no proof of their involvement. Nothing.
You certainly believed it. He had no proof, but you certainly believed it for a while.
I believed it for a short while, yes.
Short while.
But I didn't publish this book. He did.
Well, wait. This is the thing.
But he didn't have all this information that you see now.
I just think it's very unprofessional.
All of this information, except for the done in favor of the Son of Sam, comes from Rothstein. I can tell you right now.
I just put myself in the position of these family members.
But how could it come from Rothstein, Eric?
If my kids had been accused of murder,
wait,
co-conspirators.
One person at a time. I can't. Neo?
Rothstein tells you he had nothing to do with the Son of Sam.
No, you're not listening. I said, except for the Son of Sam, everything that's been read has to do with Rothstein's information.
So it's Maury taking his information and tying it into the Son of Sam, is what you're saying.
That's right.
Yeah, he's
right.
Not even
because we heard Rothstein himself say that his work was not Son of Sam. We heard Rothstein say that himself. Right. So Maury is taking his work and intertwining it.
That's right. So when Rothstein says, I invested the Son of Sam, as he had said to me, what he's trying to say is that a Son of Sam cult and interactions of criminality. If you're looking for that with the Son of Sam, look at what I did. But he's not saying it's Berkowitz and others or Berkowitz alone. You see what I mean? He's trying to say, if you're looking for cult connection,
if you want to go that direction with this investigation.
Yeah, and everything so far is absolutely true here, except it's Maury who is tying it in with the Son of Sam.
Well, why can't he say here one Son of Sam shooting may have been done, not was done? May have been done would have been better. Not was done. He doesn't know that as a fact.
I hear you, Rena.
Yeah, well, that is true.
Choice of words are important. Yep.
So either he is giving what he believes to be a fact, or he was told that. He was told that. But I, you would have to examine the victims and say, well, who would be dangerous to organized crime? And I don't see any of these victims being dangerous to organized crime.
No, not one of them. Members of the Sam cult associated with a few of these OC affiliates on the bar and club circuits. One of these OC players.
What's OC though?
I don't know. OC players was gunned down on a Manhattan street just 5 days after New York Mayor Beam held a press conference to announce the birth of the so-called 44 caliber killer, aka Son of Sam, and that formation of a task force to investigate the 44 shootings. After outlining these background facts, which will be enhanced by details about some of this era's relevant pedophiles, wealthy individuals who interacted with process and the emerging Son of Sam cult in child sex operations, is such an insult. The chapter will close with a setup for a significant event which occurred in mid-1975, obviously the party. It was then that David Berkowitz was first exposed to and subsequently joined the Son of Sam cult. So
you go back up. I want to see if there's something that's OC. It's important. Just scroll back. Go for hold on. Oh wait, hold right there. I just want to see OC. One of these OC players. Organized crime.
All right.
Organized crime.
Attaboy, Eric.
Yep.
Not Orange County. Huh?
Mm.
Chapter 7, The New Recruit. There's no chapter in the Ultimate Evil called The New Recruit, is there?
No.
This chapter will focus on the circumstances which resulted in David Berkowitz joining the Son of Sam group, which was already aligned with process by the time he was recruited. Berkowitz has moved to an apartment on Barnes Avenue in the Pelham Bay section of the Bronx, as well as his somewhat traumatic discovery of and reunion with his birth mother were major factors in his deterioration. Finding his real mother led to the knowledge that he was actually illegitimate. He also learned that his mother had kept a half-sister. Well, the sister was already there before David was born, while giving him away. Many years later, the author would be meeting with Berkowitz just as he received word that his mother had died. Berkowitz's move to the Barnes Avenue apartment was also very significant. It was there, at a Coven party the Son of Sam group was holding in the building, that by chance he first met key members of the cult. Now, is this the party where Bill Manson stood up and said he killed Arliss Perry by any chance?
No idea about Bill Manson.
No, I don't think so. I think this is the
that's what he
party.
said, 1975.
No, I think this is the party where he supposedly met Michael Carr.
Yeah, this is Michael. John and Michael are basically called by Caparelli for whatever reason he changes the names. Paul and Matt. This is his introduction, as he tells Caparelli.
All right. Did I read that one? This chapter will then flash back briefly to Berkowitz's origins. Berkowitz will tell much of his own story here. Covering his birth and adoption, his childhood, his school years, and his enlistment in the army. He will explain his loneliness upon returning home. See, now, if this is true, why is Berkowitz so surprised by this book?
He's got something right here. Yeah, this is real Berkowitz he's writing in this paragraph.
Yeah, but Berkowitz doesn't know that this book. So how is all this? Is Maury just throwing this in there because he knows it?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually, I mean, Berkowitz has probably spoken a great deal to him about this. The way he spoke, it's synonymous with different words.
He's saying he will explain, like he is helping me with this.
Well, these are footnotes to his book. So right here, he's in what he's going to write in the passage. He's going to go to Berkowitz's point of view. I'm seeing here,
and I have no doubts that there could be the possibility Berkowitz was.
Yeah,
going
this isn't
because
this looks like he wasn't writing the book. This was footnotes to him how he was going to form the book.
He explained in different words these things to Dr. David Abrahamson. He explained them years later to Dr. Caparelli.
He will explain his loneliness upon returning home from the army and how that loneliness made him vulnerable that 1975 night at Barnes Avenue in the Bronx. Berkowitz will detail how that first encounter led his regular association with cult members, including Michael Carr.
There you go. This is the so-called story where he goes to a party, meets Michael Carr, and Michael Carr was his introduction to all this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He will describe his susceptibility and how at first he viewed his budding friendships with these people as innocent, though exciting way to meet some new and unusual girls. He will describe the early cult meetings, screening sessions actually, which were held in a few wooded areas of the Bronx, including Van Cortlandt Park, at the very same spot where teacher Karen Wallstrom was killed 10 years before.
Yeah, so he's going to give you the backstory here on how Berkowitz got involved in all this.
Mm-hmm.
Berkowitz will speak of his graduation from these sessions to the next level of involvement, at which point he was taken to Untermeyer Park in Yonkers one night and formally initiated into the major league group of insiders. He will, in his own words, recite the quote-unquote prayer he spoke at this induction ceremony. Berkowitz, supported by the author's narration, will describe some of the cult members, what they were like, and what they did by day, etc. For example, a pair of sisters, both cross-eyed and both hookers, were frequent attendees, as were a young man who'd been arrested for child molestation, and another young male who worked in the Yonkers post office.
I've heard of the cross-eyed girls.
Yeah, this seems like a lot of the research I was getting tossed during when I was investigating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems like this stuff was out there and people knew about it. I think maybe through Carl. Because I even went to look for those sisters, and I did almost touch them. Didn't want to because I got to a point where I didn't need to. But it seems like a lot of this research was floating around. I was getting my ears on it as you're reading it, because this is the first time I'm really looking at this stuff with you. You know, this wasn't
You did mention, didn't you mention 2 cross-eyed girls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have them in my book. There was a lot of stuff I left out because, of course, this didn't fruitate to anything. I could have. I stopped it because, like I said, I reached a point where I didn't want to go that way anymore. But, yeah, there was some cross-eyed sisters or something that were going to Untermeyer's.
Like they do.
Again, seems like the information was coming from these footnotes, though, because these footnotes were made when?
Well, there's no date on them.
Huh?
I suspect 1990.
Well, it had to be before 2000. This stuff was there. Okay, this stuff was there because
it's going to be after 1996. Put it that way.
Right. Yeah, and there is a date. There is a date, I think, at the very top.
Well, it has to be after 96 because later on he talks about the list of 75, and that was April 96.
It makes sense, me getting a hold of some of this information, whether it was through Josh or through Carl, you know, just hearing the stuff and looking into some of the stuff because, you know, there's no way I was doing this stuff. I didn't see this before. People were telling me to look for this stuff, so it was there.
This is actually
came from his footnotes, is what I'm saying. Could have came from this stuff.
This is a draft in his notes that was never published as an outline. It clearly hasn't been edited. Sorry,
What's
Max,
up,
I've been in the on screen.
What's up, Steve?
Hello. What did Max say? He's explaining what each chapter will be about. It's not the book, it's a proposal. Correct. Hello, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
All
so
right.
the possibility he could be doing this to shop it to the publishers.
Yeah.
Right.
Where was I? Of interest, this man would later be turned in as a Son of Sam suspect by his former girlfriend's father. Do you know who this is, Neo? Yonkers post office worker?
Yonkers post office worker, no.
Former girlfriend's.
One of the guys I ran into that was bad was a 30-year mailman at Yonkers. I remember in the beginning. Here we go again. Like, there's so much stuff that went on that I didn't put in that book. But no, I don't know of any Yonkers postman connected to Berkowitz.
Of interest, this man would later be turned in as a Son of Sam suspect by his former girlfriend's father. It was an accurate suspicion. The attendance of process members at the Son of Sam's group's rituals will be
Could it
described.
possibly be Dupay?
Possibly.
He's the
Yes.
only Yonkers mailman I know involved in this. It could have been Dupay he's talking about here.
There's another mailman mentioned, though. I think there's somebody else.
Yeah.
Another mailman, and he was not really in good light. But I don't think it is Dupay. I don't think it is Dupay because Dupay seems to be one who was aware of where he delivered mail and.
But wasn't Maury trying to include Dupay in a bad way in this at all? Not.
I. Who knows? But this thing about the attendance of the process members of the Son of Sam, this is all elaborated.
Did Maury say that like the cult went after Dupay?
No.
No. Are you sure? Was he trying to imply like that was maybe the cause of his death?
I could look it up while we're reading. I'll pull it up if you want.
Because I think he did have Dupay involved in this in somewhat. Just because he was the mailman of the area of the cars in Berkowitz. But I don't know I don't know of any other Yonkers mailman besides Dupay as far as included in the story.
Yeah. Then you have to go through his correspondence with Tom McCarthy, the assistant district attorney, where he mentions the mailman.
The attendance of process members at the Son of Sam group's rituals will be described, and the painter will be reintroduced here. So he's obviously talking about Billy, right?
Yes, I guess.
The painter first appeared in chapter 1, and he will resurface here to provide more details about his unknowing first-hand flirtation with process. Why does he call it process? With process and the Sam cult.
When you say what does he call it process?
Why does he say the process? Why is it?
Well, he's just writing like footnotes. This isn't, I don't think, grammarly or anything correct so much. This is more of a blueprint. Again, he's not done with his product here. This is a beginning of his new book.
Well, no, it sounds like a lot of the book's done and he's inserting pages.
No, it sounds like he's going to put it together this way. I don't know. Did you find the book?
Well, it said earlier up, insert page like 267. So it's like the book was already done and these were like inserts for what was already done.
Okay. All right.
The painter is a star witness, a non-conspirator whose June 1976 portraits are vital and conclusive evidence from Untermeyer, which includes Ken from the process, now positively identified, and today a technical magazine editor in a mid-Atlantic state.
Now, Ken, is he the guy who went to Australia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that could be the Kenny that I asked about before, who it might be, who knows? It could
process
be
Ken. Yeah, I'd like to know if Ken ever wrote a book. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
This man was a top leader of the Son of Sam cult and a real estate professional who acquired properties for New York State. Obviously, Mr. Real Estate. Professional who acquired properties for New York State and was politically connected in Westchester County. The painter also sketched Maria, who always accompanied Ken from the process to Untermeyer. Well, we know all that turned out, didn't we?
Yep.
The painter also sketched Maria, who always accompanied Ken from the process to Untermeyer. Maria, who was murdered in Westchester 2 months after Berkowitz's arrest. The case remains unsolved. The painter also drew Pete, who has been positively identified and was later a convicted killer. Pete conspired with the sister of yet another cult member to murder the sister's former boyfriend and carried out the plan. This just all sounds so completely far-fetched, doesn't it?
To you now, but
both went to prison. Yeah. I'll admit I was fooled, dude. I ain't gonna lie, I was fooled for a hot minute. Finally,
Dupay said he feared for his life. He doesn't try and show him as being involved in the cult. Okay, but it says there was
talking about you're going back to what Maury was saying about Dupay.
Yeah, just to show that he's not trying to say he was in the cult. The writer of a letter was a neighborhood resident on Dupay's route. And one day in July, he told me, sometimes a mailman learns things about the people on his route he'd be better off not knowing, and he sees things he'd be better off not seeing. Dupay, the writer, added, did not explain what he meant. And then, of course, he commits suicide.
Max said Donald Savage was the mailman.
I guess so.
Yeah, there is another mailman someplace.
I never heard this name, Donald Savage.
I have, but...
Finally, the painter provided the names of 3 other cult members who also have been positively identified. These 3 individuals lived in the Northeast Bronx and were acquainted with Donna Lauria, who would be the first Son of Sam victim. Donna wasn't a random victim, as the police claim. And now there he goes again. I mean...
I hear you.
Oh, man. Berkowitz will also list some of the crimes the cult committed during his early days with the group. Arsons, animal sacrifice, drug dealing, and the transport of illegal weapons. The cult's child sex activities will also be highlighted, and Berkowitz's corroborated statement that the process was pimping kids to wealthy clients will be explained. It's just so far-fetched.
No, it's not far-fetched. He may be making a mistake about the process church.
We know more about Berkowitz now.
I'm sorry, Rena. There are people.
It's just too many, but it's nothing to do with Son of Sam.
Berkowitz is more humanized to us now that you see all of it in the bigger picture.
Right.
He's not involved with children trafficking.
But he's making the Son of Sam everything, every crime. But children are pimped like that, even
but not in Berkowitz's realm.
No. But we have to distinguish what is true and what's far-fetched.
Well, Maury should have split the two, and he should have not put the two together. He should have kept them separate.
Well, somebody led him to believe this.
This is why Maury didn't need David, because he was getting all his information from external forces, and he didn't need David. That's why David didn't even know he was writing this book.
Yeah, but he didn't know he was writing the book. But some of this information comes from Berkowitz, and it's not coming from Rothstein.
Well,
the fact that some of the Son of Sam cult members were also committing rapes during this time period will be discussed, as will the group's rituals at Untermeyer, which were frequently highlighted by sex with children between the ages of 12 and 14. These kids were often brought to the park by the pimp named Juice, who, along with the few fellow pimps, is a major figure in this story.
Okay, Juice could be a false name for Ace.
Maybe Ace, no?
Yeah.
That he's talking about, and he used Deuce.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to fill it in.
Why would he use fake names for some people and not for others?
I don't know why he would cover up Ace Brown.
Because Cohn and Samuels and all of that were made public by Rothstein.
Was Ace Brown still alive?
Oh, yes. Ace Brown.
So maybe that's why?
Yeah.
He calls him Deuce?
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking, a deuce on a card, ace,
Because I know Ace Brown was a pimp. When I looked into him here, I talked to a few people, and he was gay, and he did drive around with young kids, and he was a pimp, and he was everything that Rothstein said he was. How about that?
Yeah, I know. He
was everything Rothstein said he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ace is definitely Deuce is definitely Ace.
Mm-hmm.
I stood up and I lost my page number. Where did I get to?
Go back. There it is.
All right. Did I read that one? These kids were often brought to the park by the pimp named Deuce, who's, along with a few fellow pimps, is a major figure in the story. These pimps who interacted with Roy Cohn, politician Howard Samuels, and other political and entertainment figures were well known by the process and members of the Sam cult. They were a source of young children, especially boys.
Okay, now here's one thing that just occurred to me. In The Ultimate Evil, and even Timothy Wiley in his book on his history of the Process Church of the Final Judgment, here in these notes, he's actually saying the Process Church of the Final Judgment is involved. But in The Ultimate Evil, he states former members, but not the Process Church itself. That's interesting.
Deuce was a main procurer of young boys for a member of one of America's wealthiest families. At least 2 young boys have been pimped by Deuce, later died of drug overdoses. They have been, and then the page is cut off there for some reason. Chapters 24 and 25, Investigation 1997. This chapter and also the following chapter will cover in detail the official 1996 and 1997 investigation of the process in the Sam cult, past and present. Included will be confirmatory law enforcement interviews of a pimp named Juice, who in December of 1996 and January of 1997 told in great detail of the involvement of wealthy New Yorkers in child porn and murder, and confirmed again in his 1971 statement to an NYPD detective that kids were being killed in Untermeyer Park long before the Son of Sam case began. Deuce, a fascinating character in and of himself, is now in his late 60s. But in his heyday, as noted earlier, he was the keeper and procurer of young boys for a member of one of America's wealthiest families. He was also a friend of actress Elizabeth Taylor, boxing champion Emil Griffith, actress Leslie Uggams, and singer Marvin Gaye, among others.
Emil Griffith was a homosexual and a pederast. He did have a family and a child, but he was a homosexual and a pederast. I met him.
Police have confirmed that Juice was involved with Marvin Gaye during the time Gaye thought, as did Emil Griffith, that he could function as a high-class provider of beautiful women to the celebrity set. In fact, police themselves had told Marvin, "You're either a singer or a pimp, and if you're a pimp, we're going to arrest you." Deuce also told Leslie Uggams that certain individuals whom she didn't know were actually pimps were plucking girls from the chorus line of a hit Broadway show she starred in. As for Elizabeth Taylor, Deuce became friendly with her through his association with Howard Samuels Driver, the same man who procured young boys for Samuels. Samuels was a friend of Liz Taylor.
Why is
Deuce,
that? Well, why are you laughing at that?
it's just going just further and further away from Berkowitz, isn't it? I mean, we're now talking about Marvin Gaye and Liz Taylor.
Well, these very high people are involved in these
What's
things.
it got to do with Berkowitz?
Well, as I told you, he's putting this all together as if it's all part of the Son of Sam because of basically what he was informed by Berkowitz of going to these parties and seeing these high-level people.
I can see now maybe why Maury didn't tell David about this, because David probably would not have been okay with this. Deuce actually spent time at Norman Rockwell's summer home, which Liz once rented from the famous artist. He also rescued one of Taylor's kids from the influence of Samuel's Driver, who had taken him to the locked OTB offices for sex.
Off-track betting. That's the races.
To trick Deuce into talking in late December 96, arrangements were made to bring to New York the same now retired detective from whom Deuce was
There it
informed.
is. That Deuce is Ace Brown. The retired detective is Rothstein.
There you go.
December 1996, as I told you.
Oh my God. Now retired detective from whom Deuce was an informant between 70 and 77. How this plan was accomplished will be described. As a former detective wearing a wire, knocked on Deuce's door and met him for the first time since the mid-1970s.
Yeah, this is everything he left out of The Ultimate Evil that was part of his investigation. As you see, later on in the 90s, he formed all this stuff. You know?
And on one of the recordings...
This is all stuff we looked into. All of it, you know?
And on one of the recordings, you will hear Rothstein say, Ace Brown spoke a lot. In fact, he even spoke too much, and he involves Colin Powell in what he's talking to him about.
Among the reams of the new information that came out of those talks, the 1997 investigators learned why Deuce's original statement about the murdered kids was suppressed in 71 and by whom. For example, one of those involved in the 71 cover-up was a police officer who, in 1978, would marry one of the Sam Colt's leading female members.
So he's referring to McCabe, John McCabe, and Lee Carr.
Yeah, good one, Eric.
It has also been determined which of Deuce's pimps allies was providing kids to the cult at Untermeyer in the pre-Son of Sam years. One of those two pimps actually worked at a few Westchester orphanages in the early 70s, and detectives had suspected the other involved pimp of additional child murders as far back as 72. To top it off, David Berkowitz has also identified by name and photo both of these pimps, who were still associating with the cult during the later Son of Sam years. This chapter will also contain the compelling scene from December 96 in which a retired NYPD detective who lives in the Midwest returned to Untermeyer Park for the first time since 71, where he pointed out to police at the author the very location he'd been told to investigate by Deuce 25 long years before. The site at which Deuce had then stated kids were being killed by cult members.
That's Rothstein coming in from Minnesota.
It turned out to be the same spot Berkowitz spoke of and which John Card also sketched on a map for brother John Paul in the summer of 72. In addition, this chapter will contain more significant evidence which was uncovered in December 96 by another retired detective. This former detective visited yet another early 70s informant and was given the same information that kids had been killed at Untermeyer in the late 60s and early 70s. Kids who had been obtained from guardian homes.
No, wait, did he say the
Caveman had told me about something like this, and when I was at the park with him, he pulled me aside, took the mic off, and he pointed to an area where that's where the kids are buried. That's what he said. Now, again, if you're me in this investigation at that time, I'm not aware of a lot of the stuff that they were talking about. So I really didn't even know what Caveman was talking about. I didn't lead him over there. I didn't lead him into that questioning. Why did he bring me to a part in the park and say that's where the kids are buried? And he said that there was a crater there, like so far down, deep. That park was in disarray. It's nothing like it was now. And even if you tried to even find what he was saying, there's no way you'd reach it. Again, I don't know what he was talking about at the time. Is this it? Is there stories that go around the park, like what went on with Maury stuff? I don't know. But that's what he said to me. So again, is Rothstein's investigation crap?
No.
Or was these stories reaching people like Caveman or other people around in the area, and then they're saying it? I don't know.
Well, I think that when an event takes place, more than one people know. I mean, the thing is that I'd like to know who the other retired detective was.
That he's talking about Rothstein, I'm pretty sure.
No, go back.
Go up. He is.
Rena, go back up a bit, please. Before this paragraph, this is for. Okay, so this former detective, which was by another retired detective, not Rothstein, another. Now, Cordella was not retired. Murphy wasn't retired. Nowotny wasn't retired.
Don Mounts?
Was he retired?
I'm not sure. Murphy, Don Mounts, Rothstein. Who else was there?
Chinotti, but no, I don't think Chinotti, because Chinotti wasn't here with them.
Mm-hmm. Where was I?
This informant.
Right there, yeah.
This informant also named one of the same two pimps whom Berkowitz identified in '96 as still being associated with the Sam Colton process during the later Son of Sam era. Berkowitz said this person was actually in his Yonkers apartment in 1977. Also included in these chapters will be new developments in the investigation of the Karen Wallstrom teacher murder that occurred in Van Cortlandt Park in '65. As that case too moves towards a possible solution, despite the fact that so many years have passed.
See, here you go again. More stuff that was all there during my investigation. It was all from this. It was all from this new book that he was going to put out. That's where all this stuff was coming from.
In brief, in what could only be termed a fateful coincidence, the author met a relative of Wallstrom's at a dinner party in December '96. That relative said, "All we knew was that she was supposedly seeing some guy who wouldn't make a commitment, and that's why she killed herself." That seemingly tidbit of information was actually a major breakthrough. It confirmed earlier information about Wallstrom possibly having an affair with a former student, and also explained finally just why Wallstrom was met by cult members in a room at the Van Cortlandt Motel on the night of her death, instead of at an entrance to Van Cortlandt Park itself. In short, the evidence now strongly suggests that she'd obtained the room with her boyfriend, and that boyfriend was himself a member of the cult, was also involved in the setup. There's only a few pages left, by the way. There have been many, many other significant details that have emerged from the 1996 official investigation, an investigation that is continuing in a highly active mode in 1997. At this point in time, it is not possible to list those newly uncovered facts in this outline because of very current and serious security considerations. However, as the book itself is written, all those details will be incorporated. Suffice to say that the reader will be taking along on interviews with various suspects and informants, and will go behind the scenes as the author and a team of detectives gather the final evidence as they move to bring this horrendous, long-standing matter into a courtroom. It is important to note that since the official investigation is ongoing, there will be a substantial amount of new evidence that will be uncovered in the coming months. That prediction is accurate because the author knows what work is being accomplished, and he also knows where the investigation is headed, and what detectives are now certain they will establish in the next few months. This new evidence will be incorporated into the manuscript as it becomes available. It is worth noting here that the Nobel-winning doctor who interacted with the cult in the 70s was arrested for child molestation in 96.
Daniel Carlton Gagisnik.
Is scheduled to go on trial on February 25th, 1997. That case will receive widespread coverage as it is, let alone what would happen if the doctor's ties to the Sam cult and process were revealed by the author. There is, however, no doubt at this point in time that the case has been solved. A case that, as this outline shows, goes way beyond the Son of Sam shootings himself. It is certain that new evidence, which will be documented in the near future, will add still more shocking and conclusive details that which will only serve to buttress the overwhelming evidence that is already in hand. Chapter 26. So this book had what looks as like about 26 chapters, Eric.
Mm-hmm. And what you see, it is so rich. Forget about what's true, what isn't true, what is mistakenly put together, fabricated. This thing is so rich. One has to demand, where is the manuscript? There had to be a manuscript.
The manuscript is him taking Murphy's stuff, Codella's stuff, and as you see, Rothstein's stuff, and him, Maury, taking real stuff and intertwining it into the Son of Sam.
Yeah.
That's
so you see, though, to be fair, the intertwining into the Son of Sam with this material also comes, though, from Codella and Murphy, not Rothstein.
But their work wasn't necessarily pointing to the Son of Sam. He had it pointing to the Son of Sam. When I talked to Murphy, all his work was legit. You know, Codella's was all legit. Rothstein's was definitely by far all legit. And he's taking stuff of their work that is real, and he's putting it into the Son of Sam. That's what I'm saying.
I'm trying to say. You're correct, but what I'm trying to say is that Codella comes the closest to actually, and I would have to speak with him, but he, from what I know, the closest of linking all of this together and Son of Sam. He's the one that comes the closest to all of this. So I don't,
but I don't think that Codella influenced Maury into this way.
No,
I think Maury's taking his work and other people's work and
yeah, I don't
trying to make it fit his narrative.
I've never heard of Codella and Terry having a rapport, but there must have been, perhaps. I don't know.
I'm just saying those guys had real work, whether he used their real work or not. But that's what I see going on here. You know, he is taking real work, as you're pointing out. The stuff is going on, but it's not going on with David Berkowitz, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and he's trying to make David Berkowitz a part of these real situations.
And of course, he's led into this even by Berkowitz, who states he met all these high people and so forth and so on. And
did he though? Because
just,
we're seeing Berkowitz is not verifying it.
Well, he verifies names and everything, but it's
this is just new stuff here, and we see in the beginning Berkowitz is not verifying to Maury the information he's putting out right here with all this stuff. We see that Berkowitz doesn't know anything about what he's about to do.
No, he's saying, "What is this book? Where is this book?"
Right.
Well, in a minute, things will. You know, I've got something else to go over. It might make things a little bit more clearer. Chapter 26, The Killers. This chapter will close the book, and it will open by fleshing out details of the 96 wake that was detailed in chapter 1. The wake of the leader of the Sam cult. The chapter will then reveal the true names of some 75 individuals.
So that's the list.
That's the list, which was April 1996, which Berkowitz signed, Maury wanted it to look official, obviously, so he could present it with this book to the publishers.
Mhm.
And in order to do that, he got David to sign it
Why would he sign it?
because it looked official.
But why would Berkowitz sign it? Again, we're seeing here that he didn't even know he was writing it. He comes in with all these names. So yeah, sure.
Right,
but why would he sign that? He knows that.
But then he signs it. Berkowitz
Right.
signed it. Terry,
April 96.
Terry,
Again, he's in prison. Remember that. I mean, any shot I think this guy can take, I think he takes it knowing that it's going to give him attention.
And
You
knows
know,
it's
he
going
may
to
be
get him
upset, but
crowned
at the same time, he can't resist, I think. Maury's going to keep feeding him attention. He's going to take it.
I don't think Maury really needed David, but he needed that to keep that line of communication open with him for in case he needed him to like sign documents and stuff.
yeah, but he didn't force him.
He didn't force him. No, David
knows what
liked
happened?
the gifts he was getting.
Who
But
knows
as
what
you-
happened? I
As
find
you
it.
can see, dude,
Go.
he didn't even know Maury was writing this book. He didn't know why he was signing that. He would probably have done anything Maury asked him.
Oh, I think he knew why he was signing it. I think he knew.
Yeah,
he
but
was
Maury probably said, "Oh,
Carry
it's just
on
with this
only,
book."
Eric. To carry on. He
Right.
signs that, and he's giving Maury material to carry on, and he knows that.
He could simply say to Maury, Terry, I can't sign this.
Yeah, he could simply do a lot of things.
Yep.
Mhm.
Crazy. Sorry, I'll go back. The chapter will then reveal the true names of some 75 individuals. Like I said, April 96 was when that letter was signed and witnessed by Maury Terry. April 96. So I suspect that's when he started writing this book. If it had a release date of mid-1998, it would have taken him a few years to put this book together. So I
You're
suspect,
saying he put this paper before he even.
yes.
Okay, that makes a little
He
more
knew-
sense.
Yeah. Why he would get that letter signed. He could have just said to David,
Berkowitz
"Oh, you
didn't
know,
know what he was
I
up
want
to.
this signed." He could have
Right?
said, "I want this signed for the police. I want to give it into the police." And really, he was thinking, "I can also use this for my book project."
Still, he's
David
wrong
ain't
for
got it,
signing it. He's wrong for
Yeah.
so many things he does, and
But he neither
Now he-
mentions for the police, as far as we know, he neither mentions for the police or for a book.
Well, now we know where that list originated from and why potentially that list was signed.
yeah. Again, when I first seen that list, it was just another red flag for me because there's no way you have a crime from 40 years unsolved with all these people and no one knew nothing or no one was caught or it was just ridiculous when I seen this list.
Yeah, I didn't even know what that list was for. It was just some random list floating around. I was like, what is this even for?
It
And
was
now
supposed-
it makes
it's
sense.
supposed to be high-level people involved in crimes, pederasty and whatever else.
Right. He was just adding more criminals to a list and going to include them in all this.
Those names are contained in a signed and witnessed statement, a statement which is as current as the day in 1996 when it was signed. It is a statement that has been corroborated by the vast amounts of evidence and by the statements of others, both non-involved witnesses and conspirators themselves, that will have appeared previously in the book. The person who signed this statement is David Berkowitz. He has never before put his signature on a document such as this. And to state it mildly, it is an explosive document. As it is now in the hands of authorities, it has officially become evidence and is part of the official legal case files. So he's obviously told David, yo, David, sign this, bro, because we're going to give it to the feds, And really he's thinking, I can also use this to hand it to the book publishers. Yo.
Yeah.
These 75 individuals all played roles in one form or another in either the Son of Sam case, in the Sam cult's social environment, or they were members of the process who were involved in the Son of Sam murders. He states it like it's a fact. The Son of Sam shooters will be named along with other crime scene accomplices and the remaining members of the 22 Disciples of Hell, which we know 22 is a house number, right?
Absolutely.
The names of all the attendees at that notorious planning meeting will also be revealed, including the identities of the culpable process members and leaders in attendance that night. Along with the names, a biography and rap sheet data on each individual will appear, and their specific tasks in the Sam case and or other cases too will be described. Case solved.
And then it says what? Good
lost page, good loot page, good something page.
Good pitch.
Good pitch. And this looks like, I don't know what all this is. Occult in lives of victims intro, big black car, millionaire involved, don't know. Process, Shingon, names, literature.
I want to try and discern what he writes with this thing. Need
anything in Shingon.
Need
anything in Shingon.
Anything on Shingon.
Process in Venice, Santa Barbara, Brother Eli, DiCarlo on Santa B list of process, Leather Goods, Manson, Wild, process in New York City, Warlock Shop, Magical Child, Sephora and Wizard, woman named Goddard in Brooklyn, process in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Scroll up a bit. I want to see something in the corner that's written. Scroll up. All right, I want to see that. Orban.
Key Evans, Scolaro, Arliss? No, that's not Arliss.
No, and Grolti or something. The name might come up.
So yeah.
No, wait. What are the names of the magical child? I might know something there. Right, Warlock Shaman, Zapora, and wizard woman named Godard in
Brooklyn,
process in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Phillips and Cass, are they victims?
Statements in the book, Ari Snuff, Beach, Sacrifice of Chingon 4P, Davis to England, Blaine article from the book, Bob, Mensa K. Evans.
Orbaum is what was written up there. Orbaum.
Who at top members, rumors, large stature, LA businessman, Billy Doyle incident.
What's that say? Billy Doyle, and what's written in family or in on or in, can't make that word out.
This is all just notes of his.
Yeah, this is just random stuff, isn't it?
Well, I'm waiting. Please don't go too fast. It may have something to do with a person I found. Just a tiny bit slow. Okay, just go up slow because it's just. I'm looking to see if somebody's there. You could keep going up now.
Dope motive. Rostow, friend of Sebring, dead in New York City, 1970, trunk a car. Another Sebring pal, dead in Florida. House, Grenada Hills, redhead English woman near Hinman House. It's all Manson stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of it alludes to that. Then he says here, Trucker's Cottage from, is it Truckers or can't make it out?
Yeah, I can't understand. But
Toronto. Now that's
at the bottom it says order on Monday.
Yeah, and that's this is Toronto. That's interesting. A reference to Toronto.
Why do you find that interesting, Eric?
Oh, because of a researcher I know from Canada who was looking in Toronto at various things, and a lot was going on there. But because of the censorship, you couldn't get a lot of information about the crimes. This person would be sent journals from Buffalo, New York. You know,
so there's the infamous letter, you know, with the list.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
There it is. And now we know why that list was created. All right. Because I never used to, I was like, what is this random list about? And now it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, the list, April 5th, 1996.
So, I mean, Eric, I'm not really shocked that Maury was writing other books. Maury is an author. Mm-hmm. What I'm shocked about most is the fact that Berkowitz seemed to have no clue this was going on.
No, from his letter, he didn't know about this book, and he was informed that friends of his had paid money to pre-order it. Now, the big question is, why did Maury Terry never publish the book? Why was it never made available? He obviously put a lot of work into things. Why? What happened to this book? The book was given an international standard book number. What happened to it?
I suspect maybe Maury couldn't fulfill the time given to write this book, potentially.
Well, this is 1996.
Well, no, it was due out in 1998.
That we're reading right now.
Yeah.
You read that letter is 98.
June 98 was when it was meant to be released, and then it got pushed back to April 1999.
Right.
It kept getting pushed back.
Yeah, it would have been The Ultimate Evil Part 2. And it looked like all the newer stuff that he was finding. And it's really crazy to me because I ran through it all. Mm-hmm. All the stuff that you're putting out here, I ran through. It's crazy.
Well, yeah. Well, it would have confirmed the first subtitle of the book, which was an investigation of America's most dangerous satanic cult. That is exactly what it would have confirmed. So,
from what research I did, what little research I did about, what possibly could have happened, it seems like the heyday of the satanic panic was well over. Book publishers didn't really want a lot to do with that anymore. Huh. They were getting scared of getting sued. If that's the case, why would he have an ISBN number linked to a famous publishing house? Why would did he fool them? Did he give them a manuscript and he turned it into something else and they said, we cannot publish a book with 75 individuals named?
Well, it's both. It's both. There's the 13-digit international standard book number that begins 978-, followed by the 10 that you read in this synopsis that he wrote. It was definitely he can't give that international standard book number. The publisher has to give it. He can't give it. That has to be legally registered, and it's Doubleday. It's not even Dolphin Doubleday, which published the first edition of the Ultimate Evil. It's Doubleday itself. So this thing is all a big mystery. Was there a manuscript finally written? And the manuscript has never been released. And if there is a manuscript, where is that manuscript?
What has become obvious to me over the last few weeks is that even in the early days after Berkowitz was arrested, there was very little communication between David and Maury between 1978 and 1981. There's a handful of letters, which on Inside Edition, Maury even says on the opening, David Berkowitz, he wrote me a handful of letters in the late 70s, early 80s. There was no mention of long phone calls. And you have to remember, these phone calls were being monitored. David Berkowitz was a famous serial killer. Maury was getting his information from other sources apart from David.
Oh, definitely. You just can't get sources from one person.
No, but there was hardly any communication. This is why he had to sit in on the Felix Gilroy deposition to get the questions to David he wanted, because he didn't have access to him.
Right, but
He got the questions.
He got an indirect access to him, which was legal, nothing illegal. Gilroy can say, this is my associate or whatever. He could have called you in as an associate, and you could have gotten in to work with him.
I think Maury was keeping a line of communication open with David in case he needed him for something, but everything else was from external sources apart from the man himself.
Well,
I think he's seen he wasn't going to get in trouble.
I would say other information was available from other sources, but he also did get information from Berkowitz, because a lot of what Maury is writing, if it didn't come from Berkowitz, then Berkowitz got a hold of what he was writing, because it's practically what is succinctly but conveyed in the Caparelli book.
I have never really seen any letters from
you're right, Eric.
David to Maury naming, saying anything particularly crazy, Eric. I mean,
something crazy.
I've never seen any letter from David to Maury. David saying anything particularly crazy and outrageous.
No.
So where was it all coming from?
Well, he's got this, obviously, a great deal from Rothstein. He's got this, obviously, he had a copy of the tape. Murphy had a copy of the tape that was made from Rothstein being wired with Walter Ace Brown, and which I've been wanting to get. And I don't think Rothstein had a copy anymore, but he wanted me to get it from. It's a mystery. That whole thing is a mystery. He defended Murphy, but why couldn't he get it from Murphy? Why did he want me to do it? So,
why did their relationship suddenly stop? There was no communication, it seemed, after 1999. The letters just stopped.
Between Berkowitz and Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think after 1999, when we get to the 2000s, there is something that happens to Maury Terry.
Yeah, the late 90s. That's why I split his investigation in two. When you look at it.
Health-wise, something starts to decline.
Maybe that's why the book was never finished, because he just couldn't keep up the demand.
I know that there were several times when Hank Chinotti told me he wasn't well. And I remember Hank telling me, but with charity, it wasn't scandal, that he was treated because I don't think we could say he was an alcoholic, but the alcohol had affected him. And that's what Hank had been told. He was getting ill. I mean, he built up, he developed in his body emphysema.
Amiga said that snapshot you showed before the book's ISBN number is the ISBN number for that Steinberg book, Darkness on 10th Street, that doesn't exist.
Well, right, Omega. We can't find it, but yet that book with the International Standard Book number there was something official that was done, Omega, because it's on some of the foremost important book sites. Biblio, Alibris, Advanced Book Exchange Books, known as ABE, and Amazon. And I guaranteed it would be on others. It was officially put out there for pre-ordering. And it's still on all those sites except for Barnes & Noble.
And you made a good point, Eric. Maury must have went through all the stuff because this is all the stuff he was regurgitating to Caparelli.
Yeah. It's everything. in different words that he says to Caparelli. Everything different that has been said to Caparelli. The only difference is that with Caparelli, he changes his story because there's something from the Holy Ghost. I'm not being sarcastic, his conscience. Caparelli calls it a paradigm shift. And he says, I did all the shootings on my own, which must have pierced the heart of Cardinaro. And I'm not joking, I mean that. So it's the mystery still are these books. The mystery are these books.
But are you saying this new Maury cult book has that same ISBN number?
Now, Omega, what do you mean by this new Maury cult book? Which book and the same ISBN as what? What
He's saying, does the Steinberg book and the I Am Son of Sam book have the same ISBN number?
No.
The only way we can look is if...
Wait.
That's the Steinberg ISBN numbers.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same because here it is, 978-0385242295. Here how it ends, 2295. And the Steinberg book, Dark Side of 10th Street, A True Story of Love Gone Mad, is 978-0385-260-497. The other one ends 295. They're two different international standard book numbers, both different. I don't have a year for, I can't find a year for I am, wait. But instead of I am Son of Sam, the title given is Satan in Modern America.
What?
Yeah, that's the title, out of print, limited availability. Satan in America is what the book was called. Now,
so confused.
Can you show again what you found? I Am Son of Sam. I want to compare the internet. Okay.
All right.
Wait. Show it again. Keep it up. I got to see that, please, sweetheart. 0497. And is there a title with this?
Yeah.
What's the title?
Dark Side of 10th Street.
That's right. But Satan in Modern America is, there's no book that I found saying I Am Son of Sam.
Do you want me to pull the receipt back up?
Of I Am Son of Sam, yeah.
Hang on a minute. So what this Amiga is essentially saying is that he thinks, or he, she,
the ISBN number you're showing is to this book. He wants to see the ISBN number to the book that Maury.
Yeah, I want to see.
You have that ISBN number to that book?
64. Let's get this down, and I'm gonna find it. Let me add it to the screen. Let me remove that one and add that one. Add that one and remove that one. Give me a minute, guys.
No.
Got a lot of tabs open. Share this tab instead. All right. Let me go back to that, and I'll scroll down. Oh, 312957998.
That's the ISBN number to Maury's up and coming book, correct?
Okay. Now, wait. And does it say the title? Does it give the title?
Yeah, go all the way up and show the title connected to that. There you go.
I Am Son of Sam, Amazon.com. Okay, and Satan in Modern America.
Why doesn't it say by Maury, Terry?
Because they just used last names back then.
Mina, do this favor. As I read Satan in Modern America by Terry's book number, Tell me if it's the same that you're showing now. This is 978-0385-242295.
No.
Okay, so now we have a third book.
No, well, you
Wow.
know now this is the ISBN to that book.
You see?
So we have 3 potential books.
That's right. 3
How
books.
do you know Satan in America is by Maury, Eric?
It says it right here by Terry Maury.
Wow.
And now I'm going on.
That's amazing. Because you mentioned this the other day, Eric, but I just thought it meant ultimate evil, like Satan in modern America, the ultimate evil.
Oh yeah, you figure that somebody else, but this is Doubleday, and now I'm putting in the other one for Satan in modern America.
The plot thickens,
and it's not here on. It's not on Abe. Satan.
So it looked like Maury was just trying to knock out loads of books. He just, for some reason, he just couldn't get them finished, could he? Or something was happening. They were getting cancelled or abandoned.
Wait, look, Satan in Modern America on Amazon United Kingdom, January 1989. So could this be a different title?
Well, that's nearly 10 years earlier.
Right. So could it be a different title of The Ultimate Evil?
Right. The UK edition.
Yeah. Doubleday, 1st of January 1989. 2295 are the last digits. And then you have in Japan, the book is being advertised on Amazon Japan. And I'm not going to go on that site. They want me to sign up. But, there you have it.
I mean, it's no surprise that he was potentially writing other books. He was a journalist. He just had a very successful book published in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
What shocked me the most is just how David just seemed totally unaware of this and wanted answers.
Maury didn't want to let go.
Do you know anything about this Scientologist Ken, if he was ever known as Kenny?
The guy was contacted. It's all bullshit, Eric. All bullshit. The guy was contacted. I don't even want to talk about it, but the guy was contacted, and the whole Ken thing was bullshit. Completely. Straight from.
Okay, so then David
accused Ken's mouth.
So then the Kenny is different that David Berkowitz speaks of.
David Berkowitz is just going along with Maury.
But you see, he writes to him. He says, "Listen, Kenny is angry, and that Kenny wants to. Basically, he's saying he wants to destroy all your work and what you've done and what you are doing."
Kenny wants to destroy all Maury's work. He's telling him.
Yeah. He doesn't use those words, but it's there earlier.
Right.
So
we need to find out who Kenny is, and also. Mr. Paul theorized that the Gear magazine article was published instead of this book, which we're going to do a separate show on. We're going to read the Gear magazine article.
What is
that?
July.
What's that article?
Gear magazine, published in sometime late 1998.
How do you spell gear? G-E-A-R, like a car, the gears of a car?
Yeah, I've got the article. It's very, very tiny writing because it's pictures of a magazine.
Yeah, no,
so I
need
to print it off.
And I'm glad you got into this because, like I said, I always said there's things with Maury's investigation, and I look at this case at a certain angle of my own. I have that. But
this is interesting.
People look into other areas. This is a great area you looked into because, again, it closes gaps in the late 90s and shows you what Maury was doing, a whole hopefully it helps you answer some questions you have.
Well, Gear Magazine was the magazine of Mr. Bob Guccione Jr., the pornography chap, who became very, very wealthy.
Right, and what you're saying is that in that article is everything summed up of this book. Basically, the book
Yes.
wasn't made, and he
did this instead. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. So we will do an accompanying show, and I'm going to read that. I don't think anyone's ever gone over that Gear Magazine article. Paul Hart has sent it to me in summer of 2003. I've had it since then. So yeah, he suspects that Maury dropped this book and published this epic Gear Magazine article instead.
It could be.
But I suspect David was using Maury to sanitize his image. And it didn't quite work out.
I don't think the guy could help it, to be honest with you. I do think the guy wants to do good, but Maury keeps giving him such good food. So you see, he gets a lot of attention from it. And I'm going to point out, humanly, he's in prison. Even if he wants to do good, I just think his addictive personality comes out and takes what he can get, because it's either that or nothing.
What year was that?
Again, I'm not giving him any excuse.
What
That's not what I do here. I'm not giving Maury excuses either when I say he's not lying. I'm just trying to not insult or talk for anybody, because I'm not there and I don't want to speak for these people. It's just how I see it.
But what year did Maury write in Gear?
1998.
Good stuff. Yeah. All right. So that'll be good to see.
December, I think it was around September, November, October. No, around the end of 98.
So he's desperately just trying to seek his narrative. Still,
be a journalist.
Never-ending quest for Maury Terry to fill his narrative.
He was a full-on journalist.
Not 99, right?
No. Why? Have you found something, Eric?
Well, I'm looking at the various gears, and they all obviously have women on them.
It's called The Ghost of 1977.
Mm-hmm.
It was due out in November 1998 was when the Gear Magazine article came out.
Hey, Rena, do you have that letter from Nisa to Maury?
I do. I do.
You to pull up?
No. I'm not going to lie, Neo. I struggle to read Nisa's handwriting.
Right.
Have you?
Okay. So, I mean, you don't have to put it up. But what is she saying in that?
She's saying that she isn't buying to what David's saying.
What year was the letter written in?
Like 2002.
And Berkowitz was playing Nisa at the time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He was saying
there it is. I got
he
it.
wasn't the one who shot, his.
I have the magazine.
So she's saying in that letter she's tired of the games, basically, right?
Basically, yeah.
Right.
I've got the magazine.
All right. Well, it would take probably another good hour to read that, Eric.
No, but it says the other basic instincts, sex in the military, and his is the second story listed, which is called Son of Sam, exclusive. The famous murder case reopens.
Huh.
And below it is Suicide Blonde, the femme fatale behind Michael Hutchins. Gaze in Sport, poll that shames America. And The Bold Truth, proof that a rug can improve your sex life. And on the cover is Baby Spice.
Yep, that's the one.
Yes, and it's the only one that is high costing. $99.99. And
Steve Stickle said Penthouse had a Maury article too. Yep.
yeah, there's another one that is for $49.99 and $22.98.
Why don't you go and buy some, Neo? Why don't you buy one, Eric?
No, I buy it. I don't have the money for it.
Well, Paul Hart bought one. You know, he finds these obscure articles that are hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could forward that to me, that would be easier than me having to print off screenshots of a magazine.
Of the cover of the magazine?
Have you got the whole article, Eric, or just this?
No, just
Oh,
the
okay.
to buy it.
Okay, well, I will do all that, and we will.
Emma Punt and Baby Spice is on the cover.
Yes, that's what I've got. But it should be an interesting read, and it's probably in everything we outlined is probably in this article.
Now here you have it, $17.99. Buy it now, free delivery. Located in the United States, and $16.50. And in the synopsis, it says Son of Sam. $7 plus $8.13 is the cost. Good.
Well, we will do that on another show, Eric.
Yeah.
But I think it's very, very interesting. I had never heard of either of these books until last week.
Yeah.
I have, but not that it was coming on all this stuff I had.
What I did know is that, you see, this is the perplexing thing. He kept saying to people, as he did also to Caldenaro and others, there's a new book coming out. There's more coming out, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it never did.
Never happened.
Come out. Now, but then you have to ask what happened. What happened here? Why were these not published? Because there was serious work done. And we also know, in fact, I don't find any more on Amazon since 2021. Looking now, I do not find Maury Terry's name associated with a book on Joel Steinberg. And it was there before in 2021. When I had done a show, I looked it up. It was shown on the screen. And maybe if I go back and look at the show, it's there.
I'd like to find out why he didn't complete this book.
Yep.
I'd like to know the answer to that after seeing all this. He was obviously hyped up to do it. He had all the material ready. He had chapters you see there. He was, what was it, 26 you were up to? So he had the material somewhere. I would really like to know.
And it was taken seriously. And it was taken seriously because the two big publishers.
That was a complete pitch.
St. Martin's Press and for the Steinberg
major publisher.
So I'd like to know why he didn't do it.
They gave
that would be possible. Again, I don't want to know from him. I could care less about him, but
you can't fake it. He can't do it. No book site's going to put up an international.
Maybe Josh would know.
Yep.
Maybe Josh has it. You never know.
If anyone sees this and they have any information about either of these books, please drop a comment.
Is there a possibility that Berkowitz really just, again, at that point, just did not want to continue this? Because he's on and off. I would like to see what stopped him.
I think he knew by this point that Maury couldn't help sanitize his image.
To be honest with you, that really looked like a good book. To be honest with you, it looked like a good book he was putting together there. What stopped him?
No, that's the mystery. What stopped?
You can't find out. Again, so can't find out.
Maybe someone knows.
Has been used too much, as you see. So, I mean, you can think what you want, but what answer could you possibly get that would suffice you? You can't believe anything Berkowitz says, right? He only tells the truth to law enforcement. If you're not law enforcement, it's game time with him.
Now, Steve Sipos tells us that Penthouse had a Maury article also.
Yeah.
What was I going to say?
Plus, also, I would like to get the film from Fox Television where he's a co-interviewer of Joe Steinberg. I didn't know that there was a Fox News show interviewing Steinberg.
I suspect Maury couldn't get these books done in time. He was probably procrastinating, probably investigating more. Oh, well, I've got some more work to do. Can you wait?
No.
The book back
I think something happened. It's very strange. I don't think that he had to worry about legalities or anything like that. Something, it's inexplicable.
But if this was all supposed to be made up and a lie to him, why would he leave it to Josh? Why would he leave him his work to be exposed if he felt it was all a fairy tale?
Because he'd be dead at this point, Neo. Well, what's he going to do with these files? He's dead.
Yeah, but I'm trying to point
There's
out
no
that
comeback,
he
is there?
believed this stuff. He wouldn't have left it to Josh if he felt it was all fake and a fairy tale, because he wouldn't want his work to be exposed like this no matter what, or anybody having a hold of it if he thought it was all, made up. I'm just pointing out that the guy with this case's help really felt a lot of this stuff was real. This case burnt him.
It did. Something happened.
Yeah, well, we see it a lot. And his endurance and everything he did to fill his narrative, he would not stop. Okay. And some people are built like that. You can't change them. You can't change that. It's what they are. He was not going to stop until his narrative was played out the way he liked.
What has become clear to me, like I said earlier, is that even in the early days after David was arrested, Maury was getting fed information from people like Midiger, Dunleavy. He was forming this case with the information from other people and not David himself. He goes in the Gilroy depositions, gets all this stuff that he's hearing from David, but he's twisting it into his own narrative.
Remember, the papers come out after the arrest where they're accomplices. That kind of set him off to start looking around Yonkers and for accomplices.
Sees John Carr's name.
The paper set that off first. They were the first ones to say there was accomplices.
Well, I think in the early days, like I say,
they were asking. They weren't saying they were asking.
No, I think David thought that with the help of Maury, he could sanitize his image. And you can see in one of the last letters to Maury in 1981, Maury said to David, "It's working, David. People are starting to think differently about you." It's like that would have made Dave happy. And then he turns
the relationship with him. It worked.
Well,
she realized that was all sense.
But Dave
he got her twice, as he did a lot of other people, but he got her twice back. That's purpose.
Well, we know David turned to Christianity in 1987 with the help of his inmate buddy Ricky, right?
Well, he had before that.
Yeah, he had done in the army, hadn't he?
When he was in prison, he met that Sister
Smith.
Right. And she helped him.
Well, he pled guilty because of her.
Well, he was trying to do good again. Guy trying to do whatever. Well, I think at the time also after that, he started getting Jack Jones there, Abrahamson, and started telling the truth to these people.
Well, I think he turned to Christianity in 1987. Funnily enough, the same year The Ultimate Evil comes out. He has a good 6 years to read that book and to summarize everything in the book, and then 1993, they do Inside Edition. For some strange reason, the Process Church is never mentioned on Inside Edition. They're not mentioned until 1997 when they do Son of Sam Speaks. So for some reason, Inside Edition 93, the Process Church aren't even mentioned for some reason. Not sure why. But I think, yeah, 87.
Was it maybe John Ranieri's stuff that had come later that really helped him piece it together? Because remember, Ranieri pieces John Carr in this and Untermeyer Park. And that's the connection to Berkowitz that Maury uses, Ranieri to that, which caused him to hear of a cult that was organizing in Untermeyer's, right? So,
well, like I say, I think David had a good 5 or 6 years to memorize what was in the Ultimate Evil. And then they do Inside Edition and then all that. And then, here comes the typewriters, the crayons. Maury's feeding David's stuff. David's feeding Maury's stuff. But in the letters I've seen, David's not really saying anything crazy. He's more focused on his Bible friends and his Christian friends in other countries and getting stuffed toys and typewriters and pens and paper. There's no mention from David to Maury about anything cult related. I'm just not seeing it. So that just shows that Maury was getting his information from everybody else apart from David. And that speaks volumes for me. The one man this book is about is basically not a source of information. He's just there to go, yes, Maury. Correct, Maury. Yes, Maury.
that's what he did the whole time.
The whole time.
There's David Berkowitz in January 2000 by Lisa Singh, who wrote an article in Penthouse on him. Son of Sam or Son of Hope?
There's a ton of articles out there. I suspect we have no clue about, Eric.
He was singing Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Amazing Grace. Oh, wait a minute. He gave 20 hours of interviews to this lady. 20 hours.
Who, Eric?
He gave 20 hours to Lisa Singh, who wrote about him in Penthouse.
That is a very, very good article. Very, very good.
You've read it?
I have. I've been thinking of doing a show with that article. It's very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever read it, Neo?
No.
No.
I don't think so. Right. Yeah, I got to see it.
If anybody has any information out there pertaining to these two books mentioned in tonight's show, any information would be greatly appreciated, even if it's minor. You may know.
Do you think Berkowitz regrets all this?
100%.
You think he
I think
has
it may
resentment towards Maury or himself for this?
I'd say a mixture of both. That he went along with these games. What do you think?
Well, if it's a game, I think Maury got really within a vortex where he actually believed what he was doing.
Right.
I blame Maury for bringing this to David.
Right, Eric. That's the point I kind of want to put out. That sucked into this and really was just believing his stuff. It wasn't so much. I felt like he was trying to be bad. He was trying to just make himself right, and people got in the way. And
Is Richard?
Unfortunately, it was really bad for some people what he did, But did he mean to do that? Did he mean to do this to Nisa? Did he mean to do this to Zeno?
No, I really believe he was on.
That's all I can answer. How about that? So
I believed he really believed he was onto something. I believe he really believed it was the truth. And I always go back to Chinotti and Lavender, respectively, about he just couldn't put things together. Now,
it's like a puzzle that was there.
In
right?
fact,
But now we have all the pieces for the puzzle, and we can see the big picture. And now that it looks ridiculous, but before that, you didn't have the pieces to see.
but you see, for me, everything doesn't look ridiculous. But
There was lost puzzle pieces.
well, some of it does now, Eric, but it didn't. Is what you need to understand. Also,
There was lost puzzle pieces under the sofa that no one could find.
But you see, the important thing also is that when I listened to the very first interview we have in the Son of Sam community from May 5th, 2021, there are one or two times when Chinotti is different from Berkowitz.
Spot on, Steve. Maury created his own reality that destroyed him, swallowed him whole. And I think that's...
It can do that to you, right?
And I think maybe that, you know, can you imagine having that, like, on your conscience that you've done all this work and you didn't get one arrest?
Can you humanly see it like Eric may have put it before, like an alcoholic? Can you humanly see? You know what I'm saying? And from Berkowitz's standpoint in prison, how the addiction of some things humanly you can't help it could, you know.
Well, ChatGPT was trying to come up with some reasons why this book in particular was never released, and it said that, you know, in the late 90s, Maury Terry was becoming more of a recluse. He had health problems. He had financial problems. It sounds like his life was falling apart. Or because of this case, I suspect.
No, it did. Even his wife said everything became an obsession.
Yeah, and he became a recluse.
Yeah, he got sick near the end. This really got him bad.
Well, anybody who got deep into this got sick. I mean,
no one like him, though, to the point I don't want to speak for him. I can have my opinion, but my opinion ain't nothing to the facts. So,
well, I blame Maury for taking this to David's attention, but then equally I blame David for going along with it. But I think Maury would have gone along with it even if David didn't approve.
But you see, well, he couldn't have. It would have been slammed.
Oh, he would have done. He would have done. He could have taken David's name out of it.
He already had all this stuff out prior and seen that Berkowitz didn't do nothing to him there. So it's sort of like dipping your toe and seeing what you can do and can't do. So then later on, he wants to keep going. He sees, hey, this guy's not going to bother me, especially look at all the attention he got. I'm going to do what I want, and let's see.
Yep.
Right, but what is the blame?
Well, Eric, we've seen he was doing a book without telling David. He was doing whatever he wanted, Eric. Whether David approved or not.
This synopsis we read, that came out, what, 1998?
Yes.
When is David's letter to him saying, I hear you're writing a book and this and that and the other? When was that
99.
letter?
99.
In 99. Okay.
98, 99.
Mm-hmm.
But Maury was going to write this book whether David approved or not. It was blatantly obvious.
Sure, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I mean. Like, he didn't need David's approval, did he? He in the early days, he would have wrote.
And that brings up another question. Why was David Berkowitz so concerned?
He was probably concerned with what Maury was going to put out without his approval. And maybe that's why Maury didn't tell him, because he knew, this is... But then again, he signed the list of 75.
But you see, we don't...
That was all prior to him knowing Maury's intentions.
But we don't have verbatim every single conversation publicly revealed between the two of them. Because if you then go to just 2 years ago to Caparelli's book, what you find inherent in Terry here, Berkowitz is saying in different words to Caparelli.
Yep.
And he is still saying it privately to Frank De Gennaro. So there is a missing link here of who said what to whom. And what that was said what to whom has not been publicly revealed. We don't have a proper chronology. It's In other words, Terry gets a letter from Berkowitz. Well, what was Terry's response? We don't know if Terry responded to him and said, well, this is what I'm doing. You see what I mean? We don't know that. That's a possibility that has to be taken into
And didn't
account.
they stop talking in 99? Supposedly, whatever. I tend to believe he had way bigger of a relationship with him.
So
There's a lot of stuff I think that you're not seeing factoring.
well,
in.
we had David threatening to sue Maury in 1981. Neo, I think that's why Maury backed off.
You think he backed off from 18 years previous?
1981, David was threatening to sue Maury because things he was writing about him.
Right. But he didn't.
And I think that's why they didn't speak for 10 years.
Oh, you're talking about from 81 to 91.
Yes.
Okay. And is it David Berkowitz who says, I want to speak to Maury Terry 10 years later?
I think Maury reached back out to David.
Okay. And he accepts him. Yeah. I asked that question. Well,
he's a Reformed Christian now at this point, isn't he? He's read The Ultimate Evil, so he knows it back to front.
Right. So because what I'm saying is he reaches out. He's always reaching out. The Lord of Life decides.
Has he ever commented on The Ultimate Evil?
Berkowitz?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
You ever see anything,
Nope.
any article?
Nope.
No? Nothing.
Nope.
Never an opinion on Maury Terry's book. You never seen Berkowitz ever.
If there's anybody out there who has proof of this, please give it to us. See, a lot of people think, the trouble I've had with certain people. They think that when we ask questions like this, we're trying to obtain something to be our little treasure. What we're attempting to do is to reveal. That's it. We want to reveal things.
Discussion.
There's too many people. That's right. There's too many people who keep their cards to their chest. Here's what Maximilian, can you put up what Maximilian said? Berkowitz reached out to Maury in the 90s. It's in Josh's documentary. Right. So there you have it. I'm glad. Thank you, Maximilian, because that's exactly what I felt.
Drop a link from Max, Rena. Drop a link from Max.
What do you think would have been Maury's motivation?
So you see,
David's motivation, getting back in contact. Did he want to get his sentence reduced? Now he was a Reformed Christian.
Well, the foundation is why he reached out to Jack Jones and Michael Caparelli and whomever, is because he decides who he wants to reach out to tell his story, to reveal himself. And obviously, if he did read The Ultimate Evil, which I'm assuming he did, he wanted to reach out to Maury Terry for whatever reason.
Yeah, he wanted his help to sanitize his image. He's a Christian now. He's doing good.
Wait. How is sanitizing your image? Okay, in other words, so he says, yes, I was with these 77 or 75.
And I only killed 2 people. 3 people.
Okay, so
there's 3 people.
2.
Yes.
He said he did it in the Bronx.
Yep.
Yes. And I don't think in The Ultimate Evil, Terry ever enumerates that Berkowitz.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Does he say he only killed 2?
2 attacks, killed 3 people.
Berkowitz is saying, yeah, he did the 2 in the Bronx.
No, but I'm saying, does Terry say that in The Ultimate?
Yes.
That Berkowitz didn't kill them all?
Yeah.
Okay. So Berkowitz reads that. He reaches out to Maury Terry to confirm that is the truth at that time.
Well, if you watch Unsolved Mysteries in 1987, Maury basically says the same things. This is even before David mentions it on Inside Edition. Maury Terry in Unsolved Mysteries said David only did the 2 attacks in the Bronx.
Okay, so Terry has investigated. His investigation shows David Berkowitz did only 2 attacks. Along comes Berkowitz, and he confirms that it's the truth.
Yep.
He did only 2 attacks.
To make it look like he wasn't such a bad guy.
Therefore, brushing aside whatever he said to Abrahamson and Jones and whomever else, now he's come forth with the truth. We're supposed to believe. But then he goes forward and says, I killed them all. And then he says, I had to say that to Caparelli to protect people on the outside.
Protect who?
De Gennaro mentioned to me his nieces, and I.
Don't you think they would have been dead by now, Eric? He'd been talking for years.
But wait, his nieces would be about almost 15 to 20 years younger than him. Because remember, he said he wanted to put each one on his knee. So a lot of time had passed. I'm sure if anything was going to happen to any of his remaining family members.
But here again, why was he lying to Caparelli? We see him call Caparelli in. And when I ran into Caparelli, he didn't know anything about this case. He only knew what David told him. And it was all of this stuff here. And Maury's not in this relationship, okay? Maury's passed away, right? Why is he doing this to Caparelli?
And when you met Caparelli, he had told Caparelli he was with others doing the killings.
Right. Gajusek was a main thing of Caparelli's stuff, and so was
96. That's 96. Now Caparelli does tell me that within the 96 hours, it's not the extra 4 hours, he tells me already it had been revealed that I believe he said he was alone. But the problem I have is the Carl Denaro factor, not a problem with Carl. Carl, for whatever reason, goes back up. And Berkowitz says, I did everything alone. It's just.
Again, I have a letter that Berkowitz wrote a detective here in Yonkers. And he wants to tell Carl the truth. He didn't feel comfortable doing it when he first went in. And that's why I felt right away, as soon as I had met Caparelli, to get Carl in there.
Okay, and what does the letter say?
The letter says that I had a meeting with Carl and I didn't feel comfortable enough. I was hoping I did feel more comfortable with him to talk to him about the situation, and I didn't get that in this meeting. So that's where I seen, you know what, I hope I can get Carl in there. And
but did Berkowitz say in the letter to the detective, I shot him alone?
He wasn't saying that to the detective. The detective knew that he had shot Carl and was trying to butter him up a little bit with another case from Yonkers, and had asked him in a letter to him, how about giving Carl his piece and seeing Carl and tell him the truth. And so David wrote back to the detective. I have it in my book. I did see Carl and I wanted to, get more comfortable with him before I talked to him. So I knew that there was a good possibility if he got Carl in there, he could get his piece or whatever he needs or whatever. It was just
but he's not at peace.
An opening, and it was, thank God.
But Carl's not at peace. It disturbed him.
Whatever it did for Carl, that's his business. I just feel like him going there was meant to be, and he got there, and that's what Carl wants to do.
Right, but Carl was hurt.
Carl, yeah. I mean, he told him a woman shot him 2 years prior. Then he tells him that he shot him. In between, that letter comes, kind of, again, talking to law enforcement, which I got. He wanted to feel more comfortable with talking to him. What's Carl supposed to really intake? That's up to Carl.
No, well, Caparelli said that to me. It's not for me to tell Carl's story.
Caparelli respected Carl.
Why do you think in 2025 David's still playing mind games? Do you think he's afraid that his days are numbered on Earth and that he's he's no longer relevant now. I mean, there's a handful of us that really talk about him.
Well, I don't think he feels his days are numbered. Maybe he thinks, who knows? But this goes back almost half a century of changing the story. It goes back to where he's speaking to Jack Jones. But
and who do you blame that on, Eric?
And he's telling somebody else at the time he meets Jones about the demons. Okay,
I am surprised that he lied to Caparelli.
It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I'm a little surprised at that.
It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's back and forth. It's half a century almost, Rena.
Well, it has to be true at some point. What he said.
Also too, no one's ever brought up to Berkowitz about King and Duke, the dogs he was, hell bent about. And when I took Caparelli to the Netto's house, I actually told him to tell Berkowitz about King and Duke, because I knew that nobody ever approached him with that. And again, it's not that I enjoy bothering him, but just wanted to throw a stone at him, that I realized what your letter meant. And, I was telling Caparelli to tell him that I was writing this book. I have all this evidence against him. So I cut the shit with him. That's what I was telling him. So, I was throwing stones at the dog's name. No one ever went to Berkowitz with King and the Duke from his letter. So again, I kind of wanted to let him know that
the only thing we know
all dropping soon. And I actually told Caparelli to hold his book for a minute, because my book was going to drop, and the stuff that he was going to have in there was, it was not the facts that I had. So again, I'm not the only one that helped Caparelli. He went in there with his own intentions and his own angle. Jack Jones helped him a lot, and his own talking to him. I'm not going to tell you what he did or didn't do. I'm going to tell you what happened. And no blame to him on any part he wants to tell the story. That's his perspective. But I definitely got a hold of him and filled him in with a lot of stuff. And he's not stupid. Okay, so again, he's seen everything and took it in, and was doing Jack Jones tapes at the time. And he knew by the end what was going on.
Do you think Caparelli is the modern day Maury?
No.
I think his book was great.
I don't mean in that sense. I mean, like, David thinks he can play him.
No, because Mike didn't. Caparelli didn't know. He went in there with an open mind.
It was supposed to be a religious meeting.
And he didn't know anything about this case, honestly, to be able to question him on anything.
Yeah, Berkowitz contacted him like any other prisoner who read something spiritual. And he wanted to meet him on the spiritual side. That I don't know, and Berkowitz probably saw that he also had a degree in psychology, did psychology work, behavioral sciences. And as Caparelli told me, it began from when he was in his mother's womb, that type of psychological journey, so forth and so on. And that's what it was mainly supposed to be. And the whole idea is that Caparelli is looking in the mirror at himself, but it's the face of David Berkowitz, because he's trying to show ultimate compassion and empathy and see it through his feelings to feel Berkowitz. That's the whole monster mirror thing. Do we all have a monster within us? But you see, when you get back to Caparelli's book,
that was a good way to put the book. Yeah.
But when you get there, the demon story is there. The demons are there. Demonology is throughout it.
Yeah.
The demonology.
Where did he learn about the demons? Louisville.
Yeah, and it's funny, he has the pastor in there.
Well, maybe
he says that the pastor that I met, that I spoke to, gave a sermon back then that really bothered him. It was something about like going against his Jewish religion or something with the demons. And that same pastor I spoke to, he was bothered by the sermon he gave, and he said that to Caparelli. So yeah, there's definitely some things that add up with us.
And remember, his Jewish faith was not authentically Jewish. He was not an Orthodox Jew. where in Jewish Orthodoxy there is the demonic also. So he's a Reformed Jew. In
No,
Reformed,
he was raised Jewish, wasn't he?
yes, but he wasn't Orthodox. He was either conservative. I think they were basically Reformed Jewish, or they were conservative, not Orthodox. He wasn't Orthodox. So,
well, his father really disapproved of his conversion to Christianity when he came out of the army.
Maury was a little correct with that. I think when Maury stated that, his father disowned him. I don't know about disowned him, but I don't think his father liked him being Christian. And he kind of blames the army in a sense when you hear him about that. Like there was nothing but Christians in there or something. He was complaining, but I don't think his father liked that he was Christian.
He said he had a difficult time in the army because he was Jewish. And Leifer says, "Yeah, I know. I know. I'm Jewish." But I think Leifer, the way he says, "Yeah, I know," is saying, "Tell me another one." Because the Berkowitz, Nathan Berkowitz, is of that Jewish generation,
right?
The secular Jew, not the Orthodox, who is kind of paranoid about being, he has a paranoid feeling about being Jewish in society.
That was interesting when Nathan Berkowitz blamed that David was the only Jew in the army on the fact that maybe this is the reason why he killed people.
Like I met a woman who said President Nixon brought in the HMOs because he wanted to go against hurt Jewish doctors. And I'm saying, but my father wasn't Jewish. He was a Roman Apostolic Catholic. He was a physician. Or, one of my best friends, he came from Lawrence. A woman said, "Oh, I see your social security number. You're from New York." And he took it that she was being anti-Semite. And his father said, "Come on, what are you talking about? That's a New York, there was a certain, my generation, my Jewish friends, is the last generation of, let's say, a kind of paranoia or oversensitivity about being Jewish, So that's where it was explained to me by somebody I knew at that time who was Jewish, or not entirely Jewish. He says that was common with Jews, Eric, and this person was half Jewish, and it's you see, there's a missing link here, though. I want to know what occult he was introduced to originally by his sister, the daughter of Nathan Berkowitz's second wife,
Julia.
Julia, or is it Diane?
There's Julia and Diane. Diane was the daughter.
Right. And you remember her full name again? Diane?
No, we looked for her, didn't we?
Yeah, I found her.
Yeah.
And
that was over a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still would like to speak with her.
Yeah, apparently Diane lives in a cult in like a commune in California.
Where did you get that information from?
But I found,
don't you remember last year when me, you, and Eric were doing a little deep dive into?
I was saying,
I remember. Well, where did that information come that his sister was into this stuff? Was it him who said this?
In the Ultimate Evil. And Peter,
the Ultimate Evil said this?
Yeah, and Peter Levenda.
Nowhere else, it was the Ultimate Evil.
And the Peter Levenda points it out.
There's also, I think it was the Crime Library had some information.
Was there a newspaper article of Berkowitz talking about this, his sister had, or anything?
Yes, I will have to find it, but there's definitely an article David talking about this.
And I said to somebody, I think I'm gonna contact. I'm wondering if I should contact David Berkowitz's sister, and the person said to me, "Oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you."
How do we know she's still alive?
We won't mention the name, but stay away.
How do we know she's still alive?
It wouldn't be very good.
She is alive.
Really?
Doesn't she have a name that begins with A?
So is Iris. Iris is alive. Yep.
But I want the one who introduced him to the occult.
Well, he said his sister, his stepsister, Diane, lived in a commune in California.
Yeah, and that's what the father said also.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be a cult, does it? You know.
Mm-hmm.
That let's not go off the beaten path. We need to stick to finding out why these Maury Terry books were never released. If anybody has any information that you can help us with, please reach out or leave a comment or reach out to Eric or reach out to Neo. The plot thickens.
Yeah, I want to see you do that article.
Yes, coming up, Gear Magazine. And with that, I want to thank you both.
Oh, that's great. I think it's been a very fun show.
Thank you. Sorry I was late.
I find it very, very interesting that I'm only just finding out about these books. In particular, the Son of Sam one. Because when you think of Maury Terry, you think of the ultimate evil and that's it. But behind the scenes, it seems Maury was trying to write other books.
Yeah,
But
and
they didn't come to fruition for some reason.
I think one of the big impetuses that really, the catalysts that made him want to write this was meeting Rothstein and the whole encounter with Ace Brown. It kind of interconnected with whatever else he had been looking for. Well, it's been a great show, and we will have to do a follow-up.
Drop a comment, like and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Please, see you soon.
All right, God bless you both. Stay well.
Be good.
Peace out.
Mm-hmm.